What's going on, guys? It's Tony with Urban Girl Scout Media, living the dream as always, and today I want to talk about 4 cards from the upcoming Strixhaven set. There are a ton of cards that have been spoiled. It is coming out in about, today's the 4th, comes on the 23rd, I believe. So we're just at about 19 days away. I want to just talk about a few cards, though, and for different reasons on each one. First is Coloring Ritual. So this 4 total sorcery speed, 2 colorless, 1 black, 1 green. Basically, it's a board wipe for non-land permanents with mana cost 2 or less. And you get to add a little mana on top of it. For each permanent destroyed this way, you get to add either Swamp or Forest to your mana pool. So I wrote a little blurb about this on Tumblr instead of doing a full article because this card just, I knew I was going to make a video about it. In the play group that I'm most of the time playing with, this is going to be a great card in EDH because you'll notice it says non-land permanent. So that doesn't necessarily say creature or non-creature. So your soul rings in EDH are going to net you a little bit of value. Now it does hit your permanents as well, but I think with these colors in Golgari, you're not going to have a hard time with making value out of your graveyard. And most of the time, you can actually find benefits to putting cards in the graveyard. So I really like this card. And the scenario I talked about in the article on Tumblr or whatever was, if you have this and Torment of Hailfire in your hand, you cast this, and whether that's the bait spell or it sets you up for Torment of Hailfire, like, assuming you have enough mana for either one, or for both of them, this could be deadly for your opponents. Think about it. You destroy all their cheap non-land permanents that are 2 or less. I'm pretty sure that counts for tokens. I'm pretty sure that counts for your soul rings, some of your cheap mana dorks, the signets. I mean, there's a lot of cards that actually fall within this range. So I think that's a very interesting play. And then, if you get the mana set up, Torment of Hailfire. Literally, that is what I'm looking for out of this moving forward, is Torment of Hailfire. Setting it up for this. So let's move on to our next card, shall we? So I was trying to look at this card, and I read the front. I actually haven't read the back yet, but I read the front, and I already knew I wanted to talk about this a little bit. Jodzie, Oracle of Arcavios. And this is 8 converted mana costs. It is a flip card. The front is a legendary creature, human wizard. And it has the ability, it's a 5/5, it has the ability of discard a card, return this card to its owner's hand. I'm not going to read the name every time. And then it has the ability Magecraft, which I talked a little bit about with that new Liliana Planeswalker. I like Magecraft. This is going to be fun. But it says Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a non-land card, you may cast it by paying 1 rather than paying its mana cost. If it's a land card, put it onto the battlefield. That's big. That's a big play. That's a big play. So let's read the other side, because I actually didn't even read this. I just wanted to make sure I talked about this card. But so Journey to the Oracle, that's 4 converted mana costs. It's 2 colorless and 2 green. Sorcery, you may put any number of land cards from your hand onto the battlefield. Then if you control 8 or more lands, you may discard a card. If you do, return Journey to the Oracle to its owner's hand. Woohoo! Alright. So, we can look at the front side of this card, obviously, and say, that's very, very abusable. Let's just run a hypothetical. And again, we're sticking with EDH. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, you reveal the top card of your library. If it's a non-land card, you may cast it by paying 1 rather than paying its mana cost. If it's a land card, put on the battlefield. Okay, so you have this, you cast Opt, you look at the top card, or Brainstorm, even better yet. You set up what you want, and then you fall into it with that. And there's a ton of big blue, and if you're running this in EDH, blue and green would obviously have to be your colors to some capacity, at bare minimum, right? So just think about that. Think about if you had a way to set up with Brainstorm, or you had a way to filter with Opt, or Divining Top, things like that. I think that's just huge. I think that's huge. Now, this ability right here, this shit right here, that's pretty insane. In the right deck, so I'm trying to think of what exactly you could use this with off the top of my head. But in the right deck, you could get a lot of land out. Obviously, landfall. I'm trying to think away from that, but that's. Whew, I told you I hadn't seen it yet, so I'm not as prepared as I was with the front side of this card. But damn, that's saucy. All right, let's keep going. So I'm gonna pull a weird card for my third one today, and that's Excavator Wall. So here's why I think this is actually a very, very just a very cool card, but also a very important card. Excavator Wall is just it's a common, by the way, 0/4 wall defender, 1 cast, converted mana cost, and it's got 1, and you can tap it for mill a card. Now, the reason I like this is because this does more than just defend. This does more than just sit out there. I love the fact that you do get something. Again, I was just talking about with Calling Ritual, that with the green-black color scheme, that guild, it makes a lot of benefits out of having cards in your graveyard, putting cards in your graveyard. I think this was just a really cool design, and I really just thought this was worth noting. I don't know how good it's going to be in terms of anything outside of those green-black decks I'm talking about in theory, but pretty badass. And then here we go. So I guess green-black is Witherbloom. Isn't there a card called Witherbloom? I know Wither is an ability. Who knows? Anyways, we have Belodros Witherbloom. This is a legendary creature. It's an Elder Dragon, and it is 7 converted mana, 5 colorless, or 5 generic, and then 1 black, 1 green. It's a 4/4 flying Elder Dragon, like I said, legendary creature. At the beginning of each upkeep, create a 1/1 black and green pest creature token with, when this creature dies, you gain 1 life. It also has the ability of pay 10 life. Untap all lands you control. Activate only once each turn. Alright, so, not to be prisoner of the moment, but I have already started trying to figure out what I can do with this. Dragon Broodmother, that's the red-green one that puts in tokens. I love that idea of a dragon that's just sitting around putting in tokens at the beginning of each upkeep. That's awesome. Now that pay 10 life, that is where this card really, at first I was like, oh, it's a really cool ability putting in tokens, right? Pay 10 life and untap all lands you control. Boys and girls, I'm going to tell you, if you ever wanted to make a green and black deck that just has the ability to abuse mana, they are making it possible in Strixhaven. This, I know there's cards in the past, but this set feels, and I know there's other cards in this set that I still need to talk about, but good lord, this set with Witherbloom or Golgari or whatever, green, black, good god. I mean, and that's not a huge penalty. I wrote in that article for Tumblr. I think that they're making this more of an EDH focus lately with the way that development's going. And this kind of makes me feel that I'm right on that, because 10 life in Commander is not, especially in this color scheme, that's not terrible. That's not terrible at all. That's actually pretty reasonable if you ask me. Because let's just assume that I have no mana dorks and I have no mana rocks. 7. If I drop him, I might actually just pay the 10 that turn to untap all my mana. Why wouldn't I? Start getting that value. So I'm already looking at this and calling Ritual and just thinking to myself, it's time to make a really sick green-black EDH deck. I don't know what commander I'll use yet for it, because I want to see some of the other cards. I mean, like, you look down here and there's just all kinds of cool stuff in this color scheme. And don't get me wrong, boys and girls, we're going to talk a lot about some of the other bangers from these sets, or from the set from these schools, sorry, coming up, but just, yeah. So, what do you guys think? Talk to me a little bit here. Are there any cards in here that you're just thinking, man, I'd like to hear what this jackass Tony K has to say about it? Are there any cards in here that you're thinking to yourself, man, this is going to be a banger in my EDH group? I'm always fascinated to hear that. Are there cards within these new sets that you know just because of your group they're going to have some value? I think Calling Ritual, if you really reevaluate your casual play group, that could be a card that you could find a lot of value out of. I'm really excited about Jodzie here, or Jodzie, whatever it's called. Jodie's Journey is what I'm going to call this card. I mean, that's, like, this front face is really powerful. This is really cool. Yeah, I really like that. And then, kind of going in that same Witherbloom, Golgari, whatever, I think Excavator Wall is really going to help support that idea of filling up your graveyard. And what can you say about Belladros that hasn't already been said? It's going to be a banger. Thank you guys so much. Tell me what you think. Remember, your comments do get you entered into giveaways each month. Need to do the March one. Get that winner contacted. We'll see you guys next time. This is Tony K.